Today, we're going to look at 4 prophecies. Seers, psychics, call them what you will. Why do I keep examining predictions? Because I want to show you what was said, if it's happening, and as some of these are happening, how we can change it. And everyone who's predicted these futures has said the same thing. We hold the power to change it, and we're not focusing on that. One you may not have heard of if you're a little bit younger, and that's Jeane Dixon. Thank you to one of my subscribers who said, "Why aren't you doing Jeane Dixon?" I'm thinking, I really don't even know about Jeane Dixon myself, but she was the most recent one from the 70s. So it'll be fun to see what was said by people like Nostradamus, the Hopi, Baba Vanga, and Jeane Dixon. It is all within our control. I'm going to tell you why. Let's go. Welcome to Landria, Onkka on YouTube. I'm here to help you break through the fear. Fear is a frequency, and when we break through fear, well, we open up all the probabilities. And these predictions I'm going to share with you today are a part of that. It's a frequency that we can shift and avoid many of the things that were predicted that haven't happened, and of course, the ones that we've been warned about that we can change. I'm going to cover 2 to 3 key points on each one of them, what they all agree on, and where they clearly differ. Here's what they all agree on: energy shifts, consciousness, upheaval as catalyst or cleansing. And then here's where they clearly differ: timelines, physical versus metaphysical focus, and dates. Yeah, we've all said, where are these dates? Where are you coming up with it? It's called convergence. We talk about what's really going on and why 2026 is that year that kicks off a new cycle of some amazing things. I'm going to talk about how collective consciousness can shift all of these outcomes. I didn't say that, they did. I happen to know it. I know that you know it too. This is a timeline where miracles are planted, the seeds are. Sometimes it takes a little longer to show up, the right person, the right job, the right location. You will see the changes, but you must act on them. As always, hope you'll subscribe and click that bell. Come join my private membership. Today I'm actually going to share some dreams that I have. I'm going to have my morning coffee with my members live. I hope you'll come join us. In the description, I've got all kinds of things for you to change your life, to clean up the toxins. We have to get this ready for this world that we are living, we're creating now. All right, so let's get started. Do you know who Jeane Dixon is? I'm going to bring her up because she had some pretty big hits back in the day. She was a 20th century psychic. She famously gained notoriety for predicting the assassination of JFK. That's not easy to pull off. She left several prophecies that modern observers often link to current events. While she passed away in 1997, her visions for the 2020s and 2030s have resurfaced recently due to their specific timelines and geopolitical themes. Here's what she predicted applies to our current era: the 2020 Armageddon. In her 1971 book, The Call to Glory, Dixon predicted that the end of the world, or a period of Armageddon, would begin in 2020. So what's the context of this book? She didn't necessarily mean the literal destruction of the planet. We've talked about this, but rather it's a period of tribulation or definitive struggle between good and evil. Here we go, the split earth again. And by the way, this is before Dolores Cannon came out with the new earth and the split. But we've heard this theme many, many times, including the Hopi. My next video is going to go into detail about that. What's the modern day interpretation? Many people point to the global upheaval of the 2020 COVID pandemic and the subsequent social and political instability as the start of the darkness she envisioned. She said 2020, and guess what happened? The rise of a global conflict from 2025 to 2037. Now, she did give dates. One of her most specific geopolitical prophecies involved a major shift in global power, a war of conquest. Now, here's where we're getting a little nervous, especially here in the United States, with governments and people taking action. It's coming to a head. Our reaction is going to determine our outcome, and we must move forward in peace. This could go either way, but I want to assure you, It doesn't stop you from going to the new era and the collective going into that space of peace, because that other side of the old world will continue to function that way. So I want you to remember, no matter what you hear out there, it isn't like, oh, it's not happening. It's, oh, they're still acting that way. Guess they're not going to join us. And that's it. Just remember, I don't want you to get nervous thinking, oh my gosh, we just shifted directions. As long as you stay clear on your new earth pathway and living that clean, non-toxic life, you will contribute to it. It does exist. I know it. I'm seeing the changes. So the vision was Dixon predicted that starting in 2025, Red China would begin a massive territorial expansion, moving into Russia and eventually Northern Europe. The outcome, she claimed that conflict would last 12 years, concluding in 2037. What's the current relevance? Given the current tensions between global superpowers and the focus on the shifting world orders, this specific 2025 to 2037 window is frequently cited by those following her work today. It could very well be in our sights. It does not affect the new earth from progressing. Remember this, okay? It doesn't stop us from transitioning into a new timeline where your world will exist there and we observe the other one. Remember, when you're in the penthouse, you can see what's going on. You know what's on those other floors. Those in the basement, the low frequencies, they don't know what's going on above them. They haven't been up there yet. It will be up to them to go from floor to floor, experience that higher frequency, and eventually meet up in the penthouse. She talked about a domestic spiritual fracture in America. Dixon warned that the greatest threat to the United States would not be a foreign invasion, but a moral unraveling from within. It is now happening. The prediction, she foresaw a period where the nation would turn against its own foundations, characterized by extreme social division, deceptive leadership, and spiritual confusion. That is taking place right now. Connection to now. Observers often apply this to the current climate of political polarization and the post-truth era of information. We're seeing leaders, and we're discovering that what we always knew and suspected in their private clubs is actually much more horrifying than we imagined. But the good thing is it's coming to light, and we are speaking up. Never look up to another person and think that they are the answer. They may be a leader, they may be a teacher and a guide, but you hold that leadership within. It is time to take charge. We have to stand up and speak up for peace and love and the world that we want to live in. She spoke of the child of the East. Now, this is an interesting one. I'm going to go further into this in upcoming videos. In 1962, Dixon claimed to have a vision of a child born in the Middle East, specifically February 5th, 1962, who would revolutionize the world. We keep hearing about the young genius, right? Where is this young genius? It hasn't happened that I know of. The role, she predicted this figure would unite all mankind in a new Christianity or a singular global faith by the end of the century. That's supposed to be happening now. The twist, some interpreted her vision as the coming of a great peacemaker. Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful? While others, and eventually Dixon herself, worried that this figure might represent an antichrist figure who uses deception to gain global power. We've heard about the antichrist. That hasn't happened. You know that you hold the power, and anyone who wants you to follow them is not truly the leader that they claim they are. That is ego wanting power and control. Those who empower you and work together as a collective in unity is of the light, because source is one. And even Christ said, these things you shall do and more. He taught you hold the power. So just remember that. So here's a note on the Jeane Dixon effect, is what they called. It's worth noting that while Dixon had some high-profile hits, she also had many issues, such as predicting a cure for cancer by 1967. We actually do have a cure for cancer. Stop eating chemicals. There we go. And the USSR landing on the moon first, that didn't happen, although some of you might say they might have. Mathematician John Allen Paulos coined the Jeane Dixon effect to describe the human tendency to remember a few correct guesses while ignoring a vast number of incorrect ones. And that's true of Edgar Cayce, Nostradamus, who was tough to figure out what he was saying anyways, and Baba Vanga, and we're going to go over those here. So if we pivot from Dixon to the broader world of historical prophecy, the 2020s are often cited as a hinge point in history. Many of these figures utilized cryptic language that modern interpreters, they're now mapping into current environmental and political shifts. We can interpret things any way we want, but one thing is consistent. The upheaval is the catalyst for the positive change. It's in your face, and we're saying no. People don't change until they are pushed past being comfortable, right? Past being uncomfortable. And that's what's happening now. Things are so in our face, we can't ignore it anymore. So here's what Nostradamus and other major historical figures predicted for our current era. Nostradamus, born in 1503, wrote in quatrains, four-line verses, very mysterious, notoriously difficult to decipher. However, several verses are frequently linked to the mid-2020s. The Great Climate Change. Cayce said this. He wrote, "The dry earth will grow more parched, and there will be great floods when it is seen." Nobody's talking about the dry earth. Okay, it's raining here today. It's looking pretty good for now. This can happen very quickly. Many point to this as a direct reference to the current pattern of record-breaking heat waves and extreme storm surges. Edgar Cayce and many that predict that future told us that we can affect climate change and earth changes. Why? When you become in harmony with nature and we stop destroying her, and she is showing us what we are. She is a mirror. That too can change, right? So don't think, oh, well, no matter what we do, we're going to go under floods. It doesn't have to be true. Naval conflict, one quatrain of Nostradamus mentions a red adversary and a great ocean. That's in alignment with Jeane Dixon, being in dread. Modern analysts often interpret this as a potential naval confrontation in the South China Sea. Who knows? But we heard Jeane Dixon say this. A king of the Isles. He predicted a major shakeup in a Western monarchy, specifically mentioning a king of the Isles. Oh, well, that's not the United States. Being driven out by force. With the current transition in the British monarchy, we just had somebody that got kicked out. Wasn't the king, but some things are going to be happening, some transitions there. Baba Vanga, she was born in 1911 and she left the planet in 1996. We've talked a bit about her. She's quite mysterious. She's a Bulgarian mystic, if you don't know, often called the Nostradamus of the Balkans. She provided specific, though often oral, predictions for the upcoming years. So here they are, 2025, the European apocalypse. Well, we're in 2026 now. Vanga reportedly predicted that a conflict would break out in Europe in 2025 that would devastate the population of the continent. How you guys doing over there, right? We can't trust all of this stuff. Why? Was she wrong, or did we change it? Biological testing. She warned of a large country conducting research into biological weapons during this decade, which she claimed would lead to accidental outbreaks. Hello, that happened. 2020, ring a bell? Communication with aliens. Now, I'm very excited about this. She famously predicted that humanity would make official contact with extraterrestrials within the next 2 decades. Some have said October of 2026. I did not find a date with her, but also we know that Chris Bledsoe, who is alive and well talking about this, talked about this March and April, specifically March 15th to 20th, something major happening, and also October 7th in particular. By the way, next video, I'm going to examine that, the Hopi Blue Star. Why? It correlates with what he's saying, and we're going to talk about that blue star because there's something really powerful to that, and it's happening right now. We're going to talk about Mother Shipton. I don't know who she is, but I thought it's sort of cool because she was born in 1488. She died in 1561. She was an English prophet whose verses were published long after her death. She's often credited with predicting modern technology like carriages without horses. Could you imagine that? Nostradamus did that. He was drawing pictures of like helicopters and some crazy things that you can't possibly imagine back then. And the current digital age is what she predicted. The golden age through turmoil. Ah, here we go. She predicted a time when around the world thoughts shall fly in the twinkling of an eye. Very good, Mother Shipton. I like that one, which many see as the internet. Of course, cell phones, all of it. Social upheaval. Hello, here's the same theme. She spoke of a period where men shall walk and not know where, suggesting a time of deep mental and spiritual disorientation before a new era of enlightenment begins. People have been lost. Men and women will walk and not know where. Where do we go? I'm telling you right now, it exists within. It is not out here. Nothing's out here to seek. That is here. You must go deep within, meditate. It is there. Find that space, and your world will change. I'm going to teach you how to do that. I'll talk about that in upcoming videos. The Hopi Prophecy, the Blue Star, that's going to be my next video. You're going to love it. I'm fascinated with this. The Hopi people of North America have an ancient oral tradition regarding the 9 signs of the world's end. We are currently said to be in the final transition. This is the really super cool part because they spoke of the 4 phases of humanity, and we are in the 5th. Of 4 phases of humanity going into a 5th, and we're going into the 5th. Edgar Cayce spoke of this. Many prophets spoke of the 5th root race, was Edgar Cayce called it, as a big spiritual transition. That's the good news, my friend. No, the old earth isn't going to dissolve immediately. It's still their journey, their teachings. They are just in a different phase. They're in kindergarten, and you are getting your PhD. So let's talk of the blue star Kachina, the final sign. Final sign. This is why I'm going to shoot a whole video around this. The final sign is the appearance of a blue star. When did we hear this? Recently. In the sky, some astronomers and enthusiasts have tried to link this to a specific comet or supernova expected in the late 2020s. I don't think so. I think it could be the blue star Regulus. We'll find out. I'm going to research this deeply. So stay tuned for my Wednesday video at 3 p.m. Eastern. The Great Purification. This era, as the Hopi said, is described not as an end, but a purification, where the earth resets itself because humanity has lost its connection to nature. Please go back out into nature. Ground. Look at the sun. Thank it. Speak to trees. It's okay to tree hug. They are conscious and alive just as we are. They don't have a brain. They're beyond that. They are connected to all things, and we must go into that space. So let's compare the predictions for 2024 through 2030. Nostradamus, the key theme, environmental and geopolitical. The primary threat, floods and naval war. Baba Vanga, the key theme was European stability or instability. The primary threat, conflict, and bio-threats. The Hopi Prophecy, the key theme, spiritual, natural reset. The primary threat, loss of balance with Earth. It doesn't mean we have to continue down that path. Each one of you must balance that nature. Watch what you're eating and where it comes from. Was it tortured? Did it suffer before it came to you? You consumed that low frequency. This is a fact, this is science. Make sure that everything and the sources are as pure as you can get them. I know it's not easy. Mother Shipton, the key theme, technological overload. The primary threat, disorientation, information. So it's really important to remember most of these are coming from archaic languages and interpreted. They're passed down or through oral tradition, making them highly susceptible to hindsight bias, right? Oh, so and so predicted that. And I do hear that a lot. We tend to look at an event like a flood and then find a verse that fits it, rather than the verse telling us exactly when and where the flood will happen. I did have a very profound dream. I just want to share our president was in it. I'm actually going to share that today, my Sunday coffee with my members. Watch your dreams. You may be picking up on things, but just remember, it's the current feel and frequency. It can change. You can have a dream a week later that's beautiful and perfect. That means we're shifting. You're picking up on the collective shift, all right? You can meditate and go into this. You can do remote viewing. What is that? Open up to the future and pay attention to what you see. Do not go into fear. There's never anything to fear because you're eternal. We came here at this time period because all of the teachings that you've had, you either still blame, stay in anger, and you make your own low frequency choices, or you learn from them. You say, thank you for those teachings. Thank you for that lousy job and that boss who treated me bad. That training helped me get the higher one. Those teachings from my parents allowed me to see what I don't want to do with my own children, or that I know that that's not true about me. If you are not learning from this, you won't go into higher frequency and join the fifth root race. It's just a choice. It's not a punishment. Nobody does that to you. You're doing it. So Wednesday, I'm going to go into the Hopi Blue Star. The Hopi Blue Star prophecy is the most famous and debatable indigenous prophecy of our time. It centers on the transition from that fourth world, our current era, to the fifth world, an era of peace and harmony. We are at the precipice of this. According to Hopi tradition, the transition is marked by 9 signs. I'm going to go over the 9 signs, but I'm going to go in depth into the Hopi Blue Star. What is it? What does it mean? What happens when it makes its appearance, and what is going to happen to us that we have full control over, and we can change using that as a marker for this new transition. I believe this year we're going to see some very big markers, and it's just the kickoff of the next 10 years of us transitioning, because it doesn't happen overnight. We don't shut down farm factories overnight. Well, we could. It takes action by people. 1%, it doesn't take a lot. So I want to express to you that you keep hearing the same things, and that we are in the transition right now, and that there are signs, and that Edgar Cayce showed that we can control this devastation of our planet. We can control the final outcome to go into the fifth root race. It is a choice. Mind is the builder. Watch my past videos. I taught exactly about how Cayce said, you can change all of this. And the predictions are warnings of what will happen if we don't. That's all. So be careful about what you're watching, because you entangle with everything you place your attention to. That's quantum physics. Girls, you keep asking me about my makeup. It's called Il Maquillage. You should see a product pop up here right about now. You can click on that and go to it, or you can go directly to their website. It is vegan, non-toxic, and it comes in glass. Yay! And I've got some big surprises for those of you who are on landria.com, free inspiration. I have something coming out every 30 days that you can participate in. It's the Conscious Creator Vault. It's going to show you some amazing tips, tricks, ways to live that new planet Earth. It starts with who am I, and showing you who you've been and how to change the things that you don't like about it, and emphasize and shine the light on what's so perfect and beautiful about you, because you are. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. I hope you'll join me. And those of you who have not read my book, yeah, it's popping out right here. That is in Amazon. I know you guys don't like it. Hey, they didn't write the book, and because of that platform, I'm able to reach literally millions of people. My shop link is down in the description, and every one of those businesses are living in that fifth root race, doing the right things, and Amazon has allowed them to reach millions of people also. I have other products down there that you can go straight to their website and you'll get discounts. If you have a better idea to do this, let's create it. That's what we're here for, to be creators, not to complain or rebel or protest. If you're not creating the new thing, if you're not the person saying, how do we help all these people who are victims and kids? If you're not doing anything, you're just a complainer in the old world that isn't creating the new one. Let's create the new one together. We can talk about it in my membership. I'm open to anything. Hey, listen, I'm an online business owner. You got ideas? Come to me. Let's talk about them. That's what this is all about, community, creating that new earth. It takes us, and you guys are loaded with amazing ideas. You're just questioning yourself because you think you're different from those people who run the planet. Yeah, you're different. You know what? You have kindness in your heart, and you would never use that kind of power or money for destruction or conflict. So let's use it for good. No more struggle financially, no more struggle personally, no more hate and blame, no more finger pointing, judgment, separation. We are one. We're going to talk about some really amazing things coming up, so stay tuned. Make sure you ring the bell. It will let you know when the next video is coming out. You are whole. You are perfect. You are strong and powerful. You are a loving being. You are perfect. Go into the pockets of the tattered robes. They're loaded with jewels. They've always been there. I'll see you in the next video. Namaste.